What is the secret for three guys in ZZ Top? The straight-ahead, direct answer is in two simple words: separate buses.
How did ZZ Top stay united for over 50 years in an industry that tears bands apart? Behind the beards and iconic riffs is a story of tension, resilience, and quiet loyalty.
I think one of the secrets is knowing that we enjoy getting to do what we get to do. When we take the stage, we don't know who's going to make the first mistake.
From their Houston beginnings to global fame, Billy Gibbons' journey reveals the discipline and leadership that kept the band alive. This isn't just about music. It's about the unseen struggles, sacrifices, and choices that shaped ZZ Top's legacy and carried it forward through change and loss. The making of Billy Gibbons. Billy Gibbons' story begins long before ZZ Top's legendary riffs and trademark beards. Born on December 16, 1949 in Houston, Texas, he grew up immersed in a world where music was not just entertainment, but a family tradition. His father, Frederick Royal Gibbons, was a concert pianist and conductor connected to legends like Nat King Cole and B.B. King. This upbringing exposed Billy early to rhythm and tone, shaping his musical instincts from a very young age. Interestingly, Billy's first instrument wasn't a guitar, but the drums. His classical training in percussion gave him a disciplined foundation in timing and phrasing, teaching him how space and silence could be as powerful as sound. However, the precision of classical drumming felt restricting. He craved a more expressive outlet where emotion could flow freely, and that outlet came in the form of blues guitar. Texas blues, raw and honest, captivated him. One artist stood out above the rest: Lightnin' Hopkins, a Houston native whose stripped-down style embodied the grit and soul Billy sought in music. Hopkins's playing was less about technical showmanship and more about storytelling, a voice that carried the weight of lived experience. This deeply personal approach made a lasting impact on Billy's own artistic vision. Through Hopkins, Billy discovered a lineage of blues legends like Muddy Waters, Jimmy Reed, and Howlin' Wolf, whose styles he studied obsessively. He wasn't content to merely imitate. He absorbed the essence of their sound and emotion, refining his guitar tone to blend authenticity with his own personality. This pursuit of a genuine, expressive sound would become the hallmark of his playing. Billy's early years were marked by an evolving relationship with music as he moved beyond childhood lessons to real-world experiences. He was drawn to the local Texas blues scene, but also interested in exploring other regional styles, from Chicago's electric blues to the Delta's rawer forms. His experimentation with tone and texture set him apart early on, a sign that he was crafting something uniquely his own. By the late 1960s, the cultural tides were shifting dramatically. The psychedelic rock explosion was sweeping across cities like San Francisco and Austin, inviting radical experimentation and new sounds. Billy, eager to explore, formed the Moving Sidewalks, a psychedelic rock band incorporating fuzzed-out guitars, reverb, and mind-bending lyrical themes. This was a clear departure from his blues roots, but a necessary step in his artistic growth. The Moving Sidewalks achieved notable regional success, releasing an album titled Flash in 1969 and opening for acts like the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Hendrix himself praised Billy as one of the country's best rising bassists, a rare endorsement from a legend. Yet despite this promising trajectory, Billy felt an inner conflict brewing. The psychedelic scene's abstract style and excess obscured the emotional clarity he craved. Feeling increasingly disconnected from the experimental scene, Billy yearned for the straightforward emotional power of the blues. He missed the slow, soulful shuffles and grit that initially inspired him. By the end of 1969, the moving sidewalks dissolved, and Billy's focus shifted to building something new, something rooted in the blues, but fresh and hard-hitting. This decision to return to the blues marked a turning point, not just musically but personally, setting the stage for the formation of the band that would become legendary. But the story of how Billy brought together the right people to ignite that spark is just as important, and will soon unfold. Transitioning from the restless experimentation of his earlier career, Billy began assembling the foundation for a band that could capture his vision authentically and powerfully. Formation and rise of ZZ Top. The birth of ZZ Top came from a clear vision: create a band that honored Texas blues while pushing the sound forward with a sharp, no-frills attitude. In 1969, after leaving psychedelic rock behind, Billy Gibbons sought out musicians who shared his passion and sound sensibility. The first to join him was Frank Beard, a drummer from Dallas known for his jazz finesse and rock edge, who had a reputation for his steady, versatile playing. Frank Beard introduced Dusty Hill to the group because Dusty Hill played bass guitar and sang with Billy, who wanted to create the music that matched his deep understanding of blues music. Billy's guitar and vocal style matched perfectly with Hill's gritty voice and groove-driven playing, while Frank's drumming created a tight rhythmic pocket that held the band together. The three men, Billy, Dusty, and Frank, formed a surprisingly cohesive unit from the start. The band selected ZZ Top as their name because it matched their unique sound, which they discovered through their musical experiments. The band name created an impression through its short and sharp structure, which made it easy to remember. The first rehearsals established an obvious chemistry between the two partners because they played together. The band created an impressive sound that originated from their three musicians, who played powerful music that drew from deep blues roots. ZZ Top released their first album, ZZ Top, in 1971, which marked the beginning of their extended musical journey. The record captured the raw energy of their live performance with authentic Texas blues riffs and storytelling lyrics. The bar music at southern locations created a sound that produced thick, greasy tones which he described as his Southern sound. The albums Rio Grande Mud in 1972 and Tres Hombres in 1973 established their musical reputation through the introduction of songs that became fan favorites. The track La Grange from Tres Hombres served as the band's first major breakthrough. The song La Grange, which had a mesmerizing blues melody and powerful vocals, drew its inspiration from an actual Texas brothel. ZZ Top achieved national recognition when their song became popular because their regional blues band transformed into a national music act with a unique musical style. Their concerts grew in size, which brought them more attention from the general public. The mid-1970s marked ZZ Top's entry into the emerging arena rock world, while they maintained their distinctive musical identity. The 1976 worldwide Texas tour served as one of the most extensive musical tours that existed during that period. The band performed their show on a giant Texas-shaped stage, which included live animals and desert backdrops to create a visual spectacle while delivering authentic blues music. The band maintained its essential identity through three musicians who performed their music with tight rock execution. ZZ Top showed their distinctiveness through two separate elements: their musical compositions and their strong visual presence. Their growing beards, mirrored sunglasses, and cowboy hats became visual trademarks, signaling a blend of authenticity and showmanship. The three-member blues band maintained their original form from the beginning, which formed their basic identity. The band maintained its original trio configuration because it wanted to preserve its basic sound identity. Rock music seldom achieves permanent reliability, which their musical style established through consistent band member changes and unchanging musical elements. The Texas blues institution, ZZ Top, maintained its traditional musical values while growing in popularity, which made them different from other bands that followed music trends. The band faced an upcoming transformation that would transform their musical style and internal musical relationships. The upcoming changes required ZZ Top to handle two major challenges, which included adjusting to new musical trends and dealing with the demands of success and commercial music industry standards. The upcoming ZZ Top transformation would result in their greatest achievement, which would create internal conflicts among the band members. As the band prepared to enter the mainstream spotlight, their musical journey took a sharp turn that would both define and test them in equal measure. Transition to mainstream success. The 1980s brought a dramatic shift for ZZ Top, catalyzed by the release of the 1983 album Eliminator. This record wasn't just an album. It was a reinvention that bridged their blues rock roots with the emerging sounds of the decade. Synthesizers, drum machines, and sequencers entered the mix, creating a sleek hybrid sound that felt both classic and futuristic. But the shift wasn't only musical. Eliminator's music videos became cultural phenomena, featuring fast cars, enigmatic women, and the band's now iconic beards and sunglasses in stylized, almost cartoon-like coolness. These videos dominated early MTV and introduced ZZ Top to a whole new generation. Their image became a pop culture symbol, catching the attention of audiences far beyond blues and rock fans. The gamble paid off because Eliminator sold more than 10 million copies in the United States, which made ZZ Top a worldwide superstar band. The band achieved their first mainstream success when they reached pop audiences without losing their complete blues sound. The band expanded their fan base through their combination of traditional rock elements with contemporary music styles, which helped them achieve permanent status in rock music history. The process of evolution received mixed reactions from the audience. Fans who had supported the band from its beginning, together with music purists, viewed the new polished sound through synthesizers as an essential break from the band's original musical identity. The ZZ Top musical style, which used a basic three-member band setup to create pure sound, now incorporated electronic elements that some listeners considered untrue to their original sound. The two opposing forces created a permanent divide that decided the future course of musical development. The band experienced a split when its members developed different creative objectives. Billy Gibbons, who possessed both curiosity and a willingness to experiment, wanted to create new sound experiences through technological advancements. He viewed these developments as contemporary extensions of their musical style that would enable them to maintain their relevance while upholding their historical musical foundations. The two musicians showed less excitement because they preferred traditional blues music, and they wanted to protect the fundamental musical identity of their band. Although no public conflicts occurred between the two parties, the internal relationship between them became increasingly tense, according to people who worked within the organization. Billy took charge of production responsibilities, which caused Dusty and Frank to experience feelings of exclusion from the process. The organization faced mounting internal pressure because members of the team became divided over their different opinions about how much innovation should occur. The band maintained a strong bond, which began to break apart when hidden issues reached the surface, yet remained concealed from their audience. The band used its new polished image, together with its high-energy car videos that showcased stylized masculinity, to create a negative public perception. The visual elements used by ZZ Top raised doubts among blues experts and music critics about their compatibility with the musical values the band had previously embraced. The sales and popularity of the product increased despite the existing challenges, which created a complex situation that demonstrated artistic achievement during a time of public disorder. ZZ Top achieved their first major transformation during the 1980s, which established the foundation for their ongoing success, while their new appearance beyond their original image created problems that most of their fans failed to notice. The band's artistic development path would be determined by two opposing forces that included their need to create new music and their obligation to maintain their established sound. The band underwent a complete musical transformation during this time, which served as a decisive moment for both their musical development and their band relationships, and for their ability to endure challenges that would later become personal battles during the following decades. The story of ZZ Top's ascent to mainstream power reveals how even rock legends face the delicate balancing act of change versus authenticity. Behind the scenes tensions. Though ZZ Top projected an image of seamless unity and effortless cool, tensions simmered quietly beneath the surface. As their career advanced into the 1980s and beyond, the band faced the growing challenge of balancing innovation with loyalty to their roots. While the public admired their consistency, maintaining the same three-member lineup for decades, the reality was far more complex. Creative differences began to stir as Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill, and Frank Beard grappled with the direction their music should take. Billy, known for his experimental nature, embraced new studio technologies, including synthesizers and drum machines, on albums like Eliminator. He saw these tools as ways to modernize their sound and reach fresh audiences without abandoning their blues foundation. Dusty and Frank, however, were more cautious. Rooted deeply in traditional blues, they were uneasy with the shift toward programmed beats and a slicker production style. This hesitation sparked quiet disagreements about authenticity versus contemporary appeal. The creative vision of their work stayed divided between the two groups because their disputes remained hidden from public view. Billy led studio production together with sonic experiments, while Dusty and Frank encountered process challenges. The working relationship developed into an emotional distance because their relationship had already become difficult to manage. The tension undercut the easy camaraderie fans expected, illustrating the strain of evolving while maintaining a beloved brand. The band experienced creative conflicts together with external pressures from both their industry and their fan base. Purists accused the band of selling out by abandoning their original sound, which had defined the band through its soulful qualities. The MTV-era music videos showed flashy cars and stylized masculinity, which led to debates about ZZ Top's relationship with blues music. The band's commercial success reached unprecedented levels, which showed that they were connecting with a broader cultural moment despite doubts about their music. The management challenges created additional stress on the team. The band members depended on Bill Ham because he had been their Texas-based manager and producer who handled their business needs. For years, Ham maintained strict control over their operations, which matched their artistic vision and kept their mysterious image intact. The financial disputes, together with control problems, brought hidden conflicts into the open. The public received few details about the situation, yet contract disputes and financial mismanagement spread through the industry, which showed the difficulties musicians face in maintaining their careers across multiple decades. The band developed an image that created both positive and negative effects for them. The band established their lasting appeal through their bearded, sunglass-wearing and hat-wearing public image, which also restricted their artistic choices. The maintenance of their identity turned into an endless struggle, which made it difficult for them to show their personal creative needs. The musicians became cultural icons who had to display a unified brand throughout their public appearances. The weight of their responsibility created internal tensions, which resulted in hidden conflicts throughout the organization. Z-Top succeeded in keeping their internal battles hidden from the media, even though they faced multiple challenges. The band did not experience any public breakups, which would have attracted media attention. The band maintained their public image as a united front because their members remained loyal to each other through their shared background, which created bonds between them. The band members faced real challenges, which brought them to breaking points, even though they showed no outward signs of internal conflict. The demands of studio work and marketing activities, together with the challenges of touring, created excessive stress that affected the band members. While creative and business challenges taxed the band, individual battles with health and addiction soon became equally defining. Personal struggles and triumphs. Behind Z-Top's tightly knit public image were personal stories marked by hardship, resilience, and recovery. Frank Beard, the drummer whose surname ironically contrasted with the band's signature beards, battled addiction during the peak of their fame in the 1970s. His substance abuse escalated under the pressures of relentless touring and recording, creating a chaotic and dangerous spiral. Despite making more money from the band, Frank admitted to spending most of it on illegal substances just to maintain performance stamina. The severity of Beard's addiction eventually became impossible to hide. His health deteriorated, and his life began unraveling as his bandmates watched with grave concern. By the late 1970s, Frank faced an urgent crossroads. The band's future, and his own, depended on making a drastic choice. Entering rehab was less about image and more about survival. His recovery was slow and demanding, but it allowed him to reclaim his place in the band and continue performing for decades thereafter. The scars of that dark period, however, never fully disappeared. Frank's experience showed people how rock musicians experience hidden health problems, which lead to their dramatic public performances. The trio maintained their friendship through personal challenges, which showed their silent dedication to each other. Billy Gibbons, while widely recognized as the face and voice of ZZ Top, faced his own pressures that were less visible but equally profound. Billy preferred to stay home and create music at his studio, which was his preferred environment, according to people who knew him well. The flashy image he developed during the 1980s public performances did not reflect his true self. The music industry required him to maintain his 1980s-based musical persona. Billy preferred to remain out of sight during his public appearances while he dedicated himself to achieving perfect sound quality. He took on leadership responsibilities, which required him to keep the band progressing while protecting his artistic vision. He showed public confidence, yet he managed his celebrity responsibilities through quiet determination and self-control. The bassist and co-vocalist Dusty Hill became the mainstay member who held together the band members' musical connection. He maintained a peaceful personality while displaying subtle humor, which made him an important musician who played bass and sang in the band. Dusty maintained his position as a musical and personal companion to Billy and Frank for more than 50 years. The health problems of Dusty created persistent challenges that affected the band's activities during their final years. The band experienced multiple scheduling interruptions because he developed hepatitis C in 2000 and then experienced various medical issues. His injuries, surgical procedures, and persistent medical conditions began to restrict his activities, but he continued to perform until his body could no longer handle it. The July 2021 break, which had seemed like a short break, became a heartbreaking development. Dusty Hill passed away suddenly in his sleep at his Houston home. Billy disclosed that Dusty had demanded the band continue to perform after Dusty passed away. Dusty specified Elwood Francis as the bassist who should replace him during shows when necessary. The band members showed their deep trust and dedication through this final performance. Although the stage dynamic experienced a permanent transformation, ZZ Top maintained their essential spirit through this honoring performance, which paid tribute to Dusty's legacy with both power and musical style. The personal trials the band endured reveal another layer beneath the music, a testament to human strength and loyalty amidst the pressures of fame and aging. Even as these intimate battles defined much of ZZ Top's private life, Billy's journey and the band's resilience ensured the music and the legend would go on. The impact of Dusty Hill's passing. The sudden loss of Dusty Hill in July 2021 sent shockwaves through the music world and profoundly affected ZZ Top's dynamic. For over 50 years, Dusty had been more than just the bassist and co-vocalist. He was the steady heartbeat that held the band's groove and chemistry together. His calm presence balanced Billy Gibbons's and Frank Beard's energy, creating a trio whose unity felt unbreakable. Losing him was not just the passing of a bandmate, but of a lifelong companion and creative partner. Dusty's health problems existed for many years until his passing from life. He got diagnosed with hepatitis C in 2000, which started his medical struggles that included multiple injuries and surgical procedures until he died. Although his body became more delicate, he maintained his strong spirit and fought through his suffering to preserve the band's heritage. The suddenness of his exit created an emptiness that people experienced strongly during both their public and private interactions. Billy Gibbons explained his personal sadness about Dusty's death by calling it the death of his musical brother. Their relationship had persisted through multiple decades of musical partnerships, which included concert tours, studio sessions, and unspoken bonds. Billy mentioned that Dusty wanted the band to continue their work, which included using their guitar technician, Elwood Francis, as a replacement bassist whenever necessary. Dusty dedicated himself to both music and his bandmates through this final act, which showed his commitment to both purposes. The band faced emotional and practical difficulties after Dusty died because they wanted to continue their work without him. The performance area became less populated because the three-piece group lost its original visual balance. Billy and Frank decided to continue Dusty's legacy by taking their band forward with the same dedication they always showed. Elwood Francis entered the band with a respectful attitude, which showed his deep respect for Dusty by choosing to perform according to the authentic ZZ Top musical style. The audience showed their affection and understanding for the band during this difficult period by supporting the band. The trio's ability to remain together through time became more highly valued after the loss. ZZ Top functioned as an organization that extended beyond its musical activities because its members maintained brotherhood through their passionate dedication and their common historical experiences. Dusty Hill established his legacy as the group developed its shared musical heritage throughout its career. The time period that Billy reflected on demonstrates his inner strength and his understanding of reality. The rock legend showed his human nature when he tried to manage his sorrow while he traveled and performed. The musicians continued their musical connection because they considered their relationship to be essential for their work, even after they experienced a loss. Because they considered their relationship to be essential for their work, even after they experienced a loss. The performers used their suffering to create a tribute, which they transformed into performances that displayed both determination and inner strength. Transitioning from such a profound loss, Billy Gibbons' personal journey reflects how an artist evolves not only through their music, but through life's inevitable trials and reinventions. Billy Gibbons' continued musical journey. At 75, Billy Gibbons stands as a living testament to endurance, craft, and quiet reinvention. Rather than chasing fleeting trends, he remains devoted to the core of his musical identity, blues-infused rock with a distinct Texas flavor. Over the years, Billy has expanded his creative horizons without sacrificing the authenticity that fans cherish. His journey reflects a balance between reverence for tradition and fearless exploration. Billy began his solo projects in 2015, which gave him the freedom to explore music beyond ZZ Top. His music shows a different side of his artistic expression, which is more relaxed and introspective. The artist uses his solo albums to create unfiltered personal music that explores his experiences with growing older, losing people, and finding strength in tough times. The music in this period of his career focuses on authentic storytelling, which offers deep emotional experiences instead of creating songs for radio success. His solo work features new musical elements that combine various artists' styles while preserving his connection to blues music. Billy uses his ability to create and perform with a different vocal style as a way to show his artistic development through his willingness to explore new musical directions. The albums create a connection with both dedicated fans and new audiences because they present authentic and heartfelt music. The singer-songwriter Billy demonstrates his increased public speaking ability through his musical output, yet maintains his commitment to privacy during his media appearances. He uses his vocal delivery, together with his word choice and his concealed musical elements, to express himself instead of providing brief statements. The new tracks make subtle references to Dusty Hill while expressing complex feelings about aging and mourning, which they ask listeners to experience instead of receiving verbal information. The situation becomes more fascinating because there are rumors about ZZ Top's unreleased music that they recorded before Dusty passed away. Billy has suggested that the band possesses an extensive collection of archival material, which they plan to use for future releases that will provide fans with fresh insights into their musical history. The releases would hold emotional significance because they would represent the last remaining trace of the classic band's persistent impact. ZD continues to perform their full career set lists, which showcase their blues roots despite facing multiple obstacles and personal losses. The band maintains a dedicated fan base because people appreciate both their music and the authentic energy they bring to their performances. Billy serves as a rock elder statesman through his frontman role, yet he maintains his original energy and dedication to the music. His story is far from over, and his music remains a vibrant dialogue between past and present. Legacy and enduring influence. ZZ Top's story is one of rare endurance, proving that staying true to your roots can outlast decades of industry change. For over 50 years, they carved a distinct identity by blending Texas blues with rock swagger, creating a sound defined by gritty riffs and tight grooves. At the center of it all is Billy Gibbons, now the last original member actively carrying the band's legacy with quiet confidence and mastery. What sets ZZ Top apart is its ability to remain consistent without becoming stagnant. Rather than chasing trends, they evolved in ways that honored their foundation, building a style that felt both timeless and fresh. Their image, iconic beards, sunglasses, and hats, became inseparable from their music, enhancing their mystique instead of distracting from it. The band established connections with various age groups through their musical combination of authentic blues elements and energetic rock elements. Their albums, Tres Hombres and Eliminator, demonstrate the band's ability to create new musical ideas while maintaining traditional elements, which kept their music relevant for many years after its initial release. Gibbons's extensive knowledge about sound production and story development has established a musical tradition that continues to influence both his band and his individual performances. ZZ Top used their visual elements and performance style and their groundbreaking music videos to establish their presence in popular culture beyond their musical work. The combination of humor and fantasy and their distinctive fashion choices established a new standard for band presentation during the MT5 period. The band maintains its original spirit despite experiencing loss with Dusty Hill's death. The band members maintain their original connection through loyalty, which they protect as an essential part of their narrative. ZZ Top demonstrates resilience through its ongoing tours and its new member, Elwood Francis, which shows that a person's core identity can develop through time while maintaining its fundamental essence. From humble beginnings to global stardom, ZZ Top's journey reveals the power of loyalty, resilience, and authentic artistry. Billy Gibbons reminds us how staying true to oneself can create a legacy that endures. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories behind the music.